Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. This is our final interview for the year 2018, and we are ending things on a high note. We are here with Brian of Currents. Thank you for your time, man.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great. It's so awesome to have you here. I Let the Devil In, your newest CP. I gotta say, we've had some amazing albums come out in 2018, and I think you ended the year on a high note with it. Good job.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So how was the making of I Let the Devil In? Let's just give a rundown of that.
It's a lot. It was it's a pretty interesting process, I guess. We what we did with this one was normally, you go to a studio and you have some stuff and then you record it at the studio and then, you get it mixed and it's out. But for us, what we did was we kind of took it apart a little bit. Like, we had been writing and doing pre-production for like a year, 2 years plus on some songs that we've been working on. And what we decided to do was, make them an EP, but try and do it in like a more interesting way, So we recorded them at home at our guitar player Chris's studio. Had Ryan Latrue, who used to be in For Today. He's done a lot of production work too since then.
Rest in peace to For Today.
Yeah, absolutely. But we had him come to Hartford and do pre-production with us, some final touches with writing, and a lot of the what am I trying to say? A lot of the hard part, like the putting together the big moments, the one-liners, the just the things that we wanted second opinions on to really make work, and that's how it came out. Then we recorded the vocals at Graphic Nature again with Ryan, and that's I Let the Devil In. We had it mixed by Buster Aldahome too.
Awesome. Yeah, at this point, like for Currents, do you guys have a formula that you tend to stick with making each song? Like, does the making of each song have like a template that you usually follow, or is the making of each song like a completely different experience?
It depends. We like to change it up. Chris likes to mess with song structures a lot. We'll do verse, chorus stuff mostly, but we'll try and throw extra pieces in there as long as they make sense, and just try to do something different for every song. Like, a lot of them end up being similar structurally, but they're approached in different ways every time.
Awesome. And you mentioned Chris. It's funny because we interviewed Chris back when he was here with Shadow of Intent. Does him experimenting with a different project, maybe did that allow for new elements of Currents to be brought in?
I think so. I think it lends himself to stretch out a lot more, because obviously, he's going to want things that are Shadow of Intent to sound like Shadow of Intent. He's going to want things that are Currents to, sound like Currents, and we're still trying to figure out where Currents sits and what we want to really hammer in on and what we really want to do. But I think that him having another project to stretch his mind out is nothing but helpful.
Yeah.
Like, especially for like the creative process. Like, he doesn't get bogged down really. He just comes back with even better ideas.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like the more you create, the more you're in that mindset, the more you're going to create, just it feeds itself.
Yeah. And, going back to, messing around with song structures, I mean, I really feel like you're a band that can't necessarily be pigeonholed. There's elements of deathcore, there's elements of metalcore, there's elements of you name it, whatever's on the periodic table of metal these days. Is it fair to say that it's easy to kind of experiment and try new things with Currents?
Yeah, and it's weird because a lot of times bands will be, attacked for trying new things, and they won't be quickly adopted. But I found that in our case, it's been pretty much the opposite. You'll have a couple people say like, oh, I would rather you guys do this more, or I would rather you do that more. But the response that we've gotten on everything we've put out so far is usually overwhelmingly like positive. People are encouraging experimentation, they're encouraging change, they're encouraging getting it right and doing something cool. So I think that keeps us going, and just trying to keep that fan connection and see what people do want to hear and take those into consideration when we go to make new things. I think because it's a two-way street. You want to listen to people that like your band, and you also want to do new things. But there's a middle ground for sure.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to find.
I feel like if you do the same thing over and over again, people are going to hate it. You do something completely different, they're going to hate it. It's a win-win, lose-lose situation.
Yeah. As long as you're mindful and you think about people who like and respect your band while you're creating things, like, you know, I don't think you can really go wrong.
Yeah.
And just try not to alienate anybody, but also give them something new.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you being the vocalist, do you need to like sometimes hear music in order to come up with lyrics, or is there ever a time where you have a story or a concept or subject matter and maybe the band kind of writes according to that?
We've never, I would like to try that. We've never written like a song to lyrics or to a melody. Usually the way that we work is Chris will have a song in his brain and he will make it a thing, and then I get to hear it basically because he's very good at recording and can do excellent. He records bands, so
Yeah.
it's the best.
Like as a
He'll
mad
send over like a
scientist.
full-fledged idea. It's like a song, like it's almost like him sending over like a beat to like a rapper. It's like,
Yeah.
this is my thing. Put your words on it.
Yeah.
And so it's cool. Like, I'd like to try it the other way around, but right now I think it's cool. Like, it's, don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah. Does sometimes hearing this help you come up with lyrics? When you hear a song that's a little bit heavier or a song that's a little bit more melodic, does that help you feel a certain emotion to kind of write your lyrics around?
Yeah, I definitely write to the songs. Like, I always come up with lyrics. I always come up with ideas, and I'll always write them down when I have a chance. And sometimes they find their way in, sometimes they don't. But usually what I do is I'll hear the song and I will do what comes to mind for it and just write to the songs. And if something I have already written or an idea that I had way back fits in somehow, awesome. If not, I come up with a totally new idea.
Awesome. It seems like it's a very open process. It seems like you're not dictated. Even though you're working around a song, you don't let the song dictate you too much.
Yeah, I just want to do what I think sounds cool.
Yeah.
And serve the part.
Yeah. Do you tend to like to leave your lyrics open to interpretation, or do you try to pass on a message or try to maybe get people listening to your music to kind of see things from your point of view?
It changes. Sometimes it's something that is, it'll be something very abstract where it's like you have to leave it to the imagination because there's not really like a literal you know how they'll write something and it doesn't really have a literal meaning. It's not directed at anybody, so there is a lot of that. Sometimes a line will be put in to kind of fit the mold of the pattern that you want in there, but other times the lyrics are very deliberate, and there's a lot of moments like that on I Let the Devil In, which is the EP that we just released on Friday. But there's a lot of deliberate moments in that where I heard like a part and then I wanted the lyrics first, and then I would come up with a pattern that fit it because I had a lot to say that I think had to come out the way it did.
Awesome. Now, kind of going back to I Let the Devil In, being an EP, because some people don't tend to overthink if it's an EP or a full-length album or whatever, but I always look at it as an EP as kind of like an indication of something. Like, could people be expecting it, like, for I Let the Devil In to kind of be a premonition of like what is to expect from Currents to Come in terms of their sound?
I think so. I like to think about it in this way where we split ourselves in 5 directions, and somewhere in the middle of all of those 5 directions is where I see our band going.
Okay.
With some new things added in, maybe.
Yeah.
That we've been working on some real dark stuff that maybe will find its way in there.
Awesome. And the final question I'd like to ask you is, being that your music, it has so many different elements, we kind of touched upon it a little bit earlier, but you've toured with like deathcore bands, you've toured with metalcore bands. I could easily see you on like on a Warped Tour, or I could have seen you on like a Summer Slaughter. You know what I mean? Like, have you noticed, depending on what tour you're on, like a different reaction in the audience depending on who you play with?
Yeah, sometimes. Metal crowds usually, depending where you are, like we've done metal tours, usually that's like a stand and stare vibe, listen to the music sort of thing. Maybe you'll get a push pit, but, it's cool to get to play in front of people that are more interested in technicality, and they're more interested in the guitar work. They're more interested in, oh, wow, that dude, like, he's got like control, like they're very music oriented. And then you'll go and do like a more metalcore tour where the kids are usually younger. They're there to like have fun. They're there to move. Some of them are at their first concert. We've had a few of those, which is cool. But yeah, there's definitely a difference. Hardcore, more like hardcore tours. Those kids are usually a lot more,
Violent.
Yeah, violent for sure. It's definitely like a way more violent environment.
Yeah.
But we've seen all of it, and there's still a lot that we want to like check out and see.
Well, yeah, I mean, just from listening to your music, I mean, with Chris's guitar playing, I could see you on a tour with like a technical death metal band like Obscura or Archspire, but then I could see you with a band like Devil Wears Prada Asking Alexandria. I could see you with a band like Whitechapel or the Acacia Strain. I feel like you kind of touch those different elements there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with those things for sure. Like, there's definitely a lot going on, but I think the closer we hone in on like our complete sound, which I think we're still trying to find, but once we get there, I think that the tour path will kind of narrow itself out.
Awesome.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys are still trying to find your sound, but a lot of people are enjoying the process along with you guys.
Right now, there's still like a lot of worlds that we haven't gotten into yet. Like we haven't seen like a rock tour yet, which would be really cool, I think.
Yeah, do a tour with Hinder.
Oh man. Yeah, we haven't seen that world yet. We haven't seen like the more laid back, like alternative world yet, which I think would be cool. Like, not to say whatever happened, but bands like Circus Survive, bands
oh my God.
That kind of sort of scene, like I would like to see how that is.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah, just see where we like ourselves being and the kind of music we like making.
Yeah, awesome. So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time. You just put out I Let the Devil In. 2019 is just around the corner. What could we be expecting for Currents in 2019?
So not a lot going on yet. We're still trying to figure it out. 2019 is a weird year, but we got some really cool stuff lined up for the end of the year, and hopefully before then. Till then, I Let the Devil In just came out, so feel free to jam that, pick it up, listen to it.
Awesome. Well, Brian, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, Brian of Currents, be sure to pick up I Let the Devil In. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York. Everybody, thanks again for an amazing 2018. We'll see you next year.
Thank you.